A story is told of a mother who approached Napoleon seeking pardon for her son. The emperor replied, "Your son had committed a certain offense twice, and justice demanded death." Now, the response of this mother is very amazing. She replies and tells the emperor, "I do not ask for justice. I am pleading for mercy." Now, the emperor responded to the mother and told her, "Your son does not deserve mercy." Now, the mother's response to this is even more amazing. She tells the emperor, "Sir, it would not be mercy if he deserved it. All I'm asking for is mercy." The emperor just had to concede, responded to the mother, "Well, then I will have mercy for your son." And the boy was set free. He was exonerated. The words that the mother uses, "it would not be mercy if he deserved it," are the same words that I find in the book of Mark chapter 10 verse 47 by the blind beggar called Bartimaeus. He pleads to Jesus, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Now, our topic today is entitled "The Unwavering Faith of a Blind Beggar." The word unwavering means something that is steadfast, something that is firm, unmovable, unshakable, even in tough and trying conditions, situations that are not easy. Now, blind Bartimaeus was found along the streets of Jericho. According to Mark was one of the 12, and he also happens to be among the companions of Paul at some moment in time. So he's one of those that first pens down the gospel. Actually, among the 4 gospels, Mark comes in first and pens this down. There is a record that he's presenting to us in 1047. He tells us of a situation where Jesus is going to come face to face with a poor blind beggar along the streets of Jericho. Blind Bartimaeus had 3 major challenges that I would like to break down for us here. And challenge number 1, he is blind. He is a blind man. It could be even perturbing that someone is physically blind, they can't see, and they are limited to some of the things that they may even have done with much ability than in the current situation. If they are well, for example, the physical disability of not seeing could be perturbing, but something even more perturbing comes in when the blindness becomes a ridicule and it is attached, or it is even related to the spiritual uprightness of a person. Blind Bartimaeus is a blind beggar who is going through this physical ailment, but at the same time it is affecting him spiritually, because according to the law, according to the Torah of the Jews, this was a punishment from God himself, a punishment for not having done the Torah, for not having done the law in the right way. It was seen as a punishment because for those that were disobedient, the ones that did not obey the law, those that did not follow in the footsteps of the Torah, They were seen as people who were undergoing punishment. In fact, when you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, it gives a deterrent for those that disobey the law of God. They will be struck with blindness. That is according to their theology and according to their understanding. So blind Bartimaeus, in his state of being blind, he was seen as someone who is unworthy, someone who is filthy, someone who is defiled and could as well defile others. And when you read the book of Leviticus, when you read about the rules that guided the Levitical services and work of priests and Levites, the blind could not even be allowed to come to the holy. They could not be allowed to offer sacrifices. They could not be allowed even to extend near the altar. Now here comes someone who is blind on the streets of Jericho. That is challenge number one. He is undergoing ridicule. He is being segregated, and he is being looked at as a sinner undergoing punishment. Challenge number one. Challenge number two. He is a poor man, a beggar, surviving by begging the people that pass by, that passerby. They are the ones that are supposed to at least get something and give him to survive. He is very poor. And according to the Torah, the poor people were cursed. When you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, those that were poor were cursed. It is only the rich that were blessed according to their understanding and their theology. So this man is seen as someone who is cursed. In fact, he is to them, he is the true definition of a curse. A blind beggar, very poor, begging by the streets of Jericho to survive. So this is a man who is seen as a ridicule. He is ridiculed. He is segregated. He is cursed. And no one can remove this curse. Get that very well. He is seen as someone who is undergoing punishment by God himself for failing to fulfill the perfect law of God, for failing to walk in the footsteps of the law. He is being presented or even looked at. He is being perceived as someone who is very poor, someone who is blind, undergoing punishment from God. He is cursed, ridiculed, and segregated. And take note of this. For him to get out of this situation, no mere human being can do it. Because a sin is only settled by God. Let me even make it more clearer. The only way that this man can get out of this situation is being forgiven the sin that he is undergoing. To the onlookers, that is what they are seeing. And in this particular case, he is destined for that because no man can do it. It is only God that can do it. If God forgives his sin, he can be well and he can be reformed and change the man. So those are the major two challenges. We come to the last challenges, though not the least. The last challenge that Bartimaeus is facing and going through, he is staying in Jericho. Challenge number 3. Bartimaeus is staying in Jericho. Now, Jericho is one of the historic cities adored by the Judaizers, adored by the Israelites, even at this particular point in time. Because when God delivered the Israelites from Egypt, as they approached the promised land, remember, when they even staged from a far distance and they set their eyes on the promised land, they sent spies to go and spy this land. And these spies went straight to Jericho. And you know, after spying and the whole process going into effect, they decide to cross to go and take over the promised land that God had given them. And when they approach, this is the first city that they step their foot on. The first foot that they set on in the promised land is Jericho. So they take this city as something that is very important, something that is very historic, something that is very adorable. And you know how they conquer the city? You remember how they rotated around the city 6 times, and the 7th time they rotated it 7 times, and the walls of Jericho came down tumbling. It was very amazing. It was marvelous. It is a city that was conquered by the might of God, and to them this was pride. To them it was marvelous. It was special that God's own hand conquered for them a city. And if we remember what transpired there after, the city was strategically located along the coasts of Jordan. It was a booming city. When you look at the situation in which they enter into the city, they spy it, and after conquering it, they tell us the city had gold. It had expensive minerals. You remember what happened to Achan and his family when he spared some of the gold and those minerals, and they decided to eliminate him and his family. You know the doctrine of first offerings. The doctrine, they had decided that this city, being the first city to be conquered on this promised land, they decided to give in everything and dedicate it to God. They left it all. And after some time, and in the time of Jesus in particular, this city was occupied by only the Levites and the priests. And when we talk of the Levites and the priests, we are talking about a different breed of people. These are the special people that stand between man and God. They are very wise. They keep the law of God to the letter. They are very, very careful in the way they walk. You remember when Jesus was giving his story about the Good Samaritan, that parable. When the priests and the Levites, they were coming from Jerusalem, going to Jericho along the way. When they met someone who was half dead, they crossed over to this side and passed, because that is what their law was emphasizing. Actually, their law was very specific. No priest should come near a dead body. The story tells us that the man was half dead, so that you could not tell if he was dead or not. They could not allow to be defiled by that situation. So they had to leave the other side and came over to use the next side of the road, because they did not want to defile themselves. These are people who are Puritans. They keep themselves pure because they come before God. They serve on the altar of God. The Levites and the priests, they occupied this city. Jesus even confirms it. They were coming from Jerusalem, from service. They were going back home to Jericho. So Jericho is particularly occupied by priests and Levites, Puritans, people who were of good stature, because even the offerings themselves that they used to offer, they did not have a blind, they weren't allowed to be blind or have any spot. No lame offering was offered. Even the offerings themselves were supposed to be pure. The people that are supposed to offer them, the Levites and the priests, were pure people. And now these are the very people that are occupying Jericho. And poor Bartimaeus, blind beggar, is going to find himself in the community of such people. He was a disgust. He was a sinner. He was looked at as someone who could defile the pure. He was regarded someone undergoing punishment, someone impure. He was regarded someone who is totally a sinner. So in such a situation, he lacked that social company. He lacked that embrace of being brought near. He lacked the love from the people that he was staying among. And he hoped, or actually, he hoped, probably he had heard of Jesus. And he believed and waited that at one time, I'm going to meet this man called Jesus. And he will heal me. He will help me out. Remember, he's undergoing through these three major challenges. He's a blind man, he is a poor man, and the community that he stays in sees him as someone who is impure, someone who can defile in case you associate or come near them. So Mark tells us that at some point in time, as Jesus was passing by, this man recognized, much as he didn't see, he recognized that Jesus was passing by, and they told him that Jesus is the one passing by because he heard the commotion. And he shouted at the top of his voice, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. It would not be mercy if you and I deserved it. Mercy only comes to the undeserving, to the Bartimaeus kind of people, the blind, the segregated, the defiled people, those that are unworthy. And he hears that there is Jesus passing by. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And when he says Son of David, that statement alone is big. He has in mind that Jesus himself is the Messiah, much as they thought of the political Messiah. But they knew that the Messiah is God sent. The Messiah would come and do away with the political government of the Romans. And this Messiah would usher in a kingdom, a new earth and a new heaven. And remember, the new earth could only harbor the righteous. It means the unrighteous would not enter the new earth and the new world. They would be eliminated. When the Bible says new earth and new heaven, in the Jewish concept, they meant a place that is free from the Roman government and from the foreign influence. A place that is occupied by only the Israelites, purely Israelites who are righteous, who follow in the Torah and who follow in the light according to their theology. Now, Son of David, have mercy on me. He knew very well he is unworthy, but someone called Jesus would have mercy on him. And now look at this situation. Jesus calls him. He tells the others to call him, tell him to come. And when he comes, he asks him a question. What do you want me to do for you? That question at some time may sound very awkward sometimes, because you look at the man, blind, poor beggar by the roadside, and you ask him what you want him to do for you. You ask him what you want to do for him. So there's something special here. Listen to the response of poor man Bartimaeus. He tells Jesus, I want to see. He would have told him, I want some money for alms. But he tells him, I want to see. And remember, for him to see, he must have been forgiven from all his sin. He must have been forgiven. And the only one that can forgive sin is God, not a human being. You remember at some point when Jesus was with his disciples and they found a boy who was born blind. They happened to ask him, between this boy and the parents, who sinned? And then Jesus tells them, none. Because they totally lacked the concept and the doctrine of sin in their theology, of how sin came about, and how sin is being so powerful a cosmic force that it could yield all those negative results. They lacked it. The only thing that they knew is there is sin, and this sin is just a matter of getting right, doing the right thing, and then you get rid of it. It was totally beyond that. So anything to deal with sin could be resolved by God. For poor Bartimaeus to see again, he has to be forgiven his sin. His sin has to go away. And the only one that can do that is God. And look at how amazing faith Bartimaeus has. The unwavering faith. He kept asking for mercy. And when he comes to Jesus, he is asking to see. And he knows it very well that the reason he is not seeing is because of sin. And he knows very well that no man can make him see. No mere man can make him see apart from God, because mere man cannot forgive sin. Mere man cannot get away the sin. It is only God. He tells Jesus, and he's on point. He tells him, I want to see. That answer alone says you are God and you can heal me, you can forgive my sin. And in verse 52, Jesus says, go your way. Your faith has made you well. Now that is faith. That is faith. Blind Bartimaeus could have asked many passerbys that he would want to see. He did not ask them because he knew they would not make him see. He knew they had no capacity to forgive the sin that he was undergoing. He knew that the ridicule, the punishment that he was going through, according to their theology, would only be done away by God himself. And he knew very well that the only person, the only one who can do this is Jesus himself. It is Jesus that has the power to do away with my sin, such that I may be forgiven, that I may be exonerated. And Jesus tells him, your faith has healed you. It is only through faith that we can be forgiven our sins. It is only through faith that we can come to Jesus, who dismantles the sin and does away with it on the cross. That is what Jesus does. And he does it as a gift for you and me. We do not qualify for it. He does it out of mercy. It would not be mercy if we deserved it. You remember the mother of the boy? He told Napoleon, when Napoleon told her that your son does not deserve mercy, she responded to him and told him it would not be mercy if he deserved it. And these are the words that Bartimaeus uses in verse 47. He says, Son of David, have mercy on me. Messiah, Jesus, have mercy on me. I am undeserving. I am unworthy. I am ridiculed. I am undergoing punishment. I am being segregated, demeaned, and underrated. It is only you that can do it, not because I qualify, but because you are merciful. You can do it for me. Please have mercy on me. It would not be mercy if you and I deserved it. Mercy comes to the undeserving. It comes to the unqualified. I know you may be going through a lot. You may be going through different challenges. You feel to the point that you may even feel undeserving. You feel it is beyond. You cannot be restored. Jesus restores free of charge. He does it out of mercy. You do not need to do anything. You only have to accept that mercy that he gives and you are healed. May God bless you.